If 5 years ago someone had told me that one of my favorite luxury electric SUVs would come from Cadillac, I probably wouldn't have believed them. When most people start shopping for an EV, they're immediately thinking Tesla, Hyundai, Kia, maybe BMW or Audi. Cadillac usually isn't at the top of that list, but after spending time with the 2026 LYRIQ, I think that's a mistake. Because a lot of EVs focus on acceleration, giant touchscreens, and futuristic gimmicks, but the LYRIQ focuses on making every drive feel relaxed, quiet, and luxurious. And honestly, that's exactly what a luxury SUV should do. So today I'm going to show you what Cadillac got right, where there are some opportunities for improvement, and whether it deserves a spot on your short list. Let's start with the design because the LYRIQ doesn't really look like every other electric SUV on the road. From what I can see, Cadillac really leaned into sharp lines, clean surfaces, and dramatic lighting. The front of the LYRIQ is probably my favorite angle because instead of pretending that there's a giant grille like some EVs do, Cadillac turned this into an illuminated design element. The vertical LED lighting is kind of Cadillac's signature, and that works really well with the LYRIQ's design. It's instantly recognizable when you see it parked or coming towards you on the highway, and at night, this thing is fire. Now moving around to the side, you get a long wheelbase, flush door handles, and a sleek roofline that kind of gives it more of a sporty crossover profile than a traditional SUV. Now one thing that I immediately noticed is that I couldn't figure out a way to lock the doors from the outside. I had to either use the key fob or have it set to auto lock when I walk away. Now around the back, the full width lighting with tall vertical taillights completes the look, and I think that Cadillac absolutely nailed the proportions. It's elegant without trying too hard, and unlike some SUVs that chase futuristic styling at the expense of good design, I actually think that the LYRIQ is going to age really well. Now, as soon as you open the doors, you immediately realize where Cadillac spent their money. The interior is super nice for something at this price point, and this is a good time to mention that this is the all-wheel drive model, and with all the added options, you're looking at right under $79,000. Now, back to the interior, you got soft leather that covers almost every surface that you're gonna touch. It's complemented by beautiful metal accents, open pore wood trim, and subtle ambient lighting. The doors have that kind of reassuring weight to them. The switches have a satisfying click, and there's a good amount of storage between the driver and the passenger seats and a USB-C port. The center console compartment is also pretty big. It again has a USB-C port and a lighter port, if that's what they're called. On the top, there's another USB-C port and then a super cool vertical wireless charger. Now in the beginning, I didn't like it because I couldn't see my phone, but then I realized it's probably pretty smart that you can't see your phone. It's less distracting, and then at the same time, it also takes up less space. Now, one thing that I really appreciate is the Cadillac didn't remove every physical button just because the LYRIQ is an EV. So the climate controls are still real buttons. The volume gets its own dedicated knob. Drive mode selection is in the infotainment system, but it is quick and intuitive, and you don't have to dig through menus every time you want to make a simple adjustment. And I gotta tell you that after spending time in cars that hide nearly everything inside the touchscreen, that's something that I really appreciated. It is a little strange though that the only way to open the glove compartment is by using a button on the infotainment screen. Now speaking of that, dominating the dashboard is a stunning 33-inch curved LED display that stretches from behind the steering wheel on the left all the way towards the center of the dash. It combines the infotainment system, the digital instrument cluster, and the additional touch panel on the left all into one seamless panel with crisp graphics, smooth animations, and excellent visibility in bright daylight. A Google built-in powers the entire experience, giving you Google Maps, Google Assistant, and access to the Play Store even without your phone. If you're an Apple user, wireless CarPlay works exactly as you'd expect, and Android users get wireless Android Auto as well. After just a couple of minutes of playing around with this UI, this became one of my favorite infotainment systems on any EV that I've driven. One interesting choice by Cadillac is that there's no physical start or stop button. You basically just get in the LYRIQ, you put your foot on the brake, and the car immediately turns on. And then when you want to turn it off, you just put it in park and then open the door. I did some research after that, and I realized that if you do want to keep the car running when you open the door, there is a button in the infotainment system, and there is also a button there that will turn the car off without you having to open the door. Now, when we get to comfort, we see where the LYRIQ separates itself from a lot of its competitors because these seats are awesome. They're heated, they're ventilated, these have the optional massage functions, and they even include speakers built directly into the headrest as part of the AKG Studio audio system. On longer drives, those massage seats make a huge difference, and you can customize the massage experience on both the driver and the passenger seats. Now going back to the audio system, the AKG setup sounds fantastic. Vocals are clear, bass has plenty of depth without overpowering everything else, and the overall soundstage feels much wider than most factory systems. The cabin is also very quiet. Cadillac uses acoustic glass, active noise cancellation, and extensive insulation to keep the road and wind noise down to a minimum. Even on the highway, you don't feel like you need to speak up, music sounds richer, and you get to your destination after a long drive feeling noticeably less fatigued. It's also a massive panoramic glass roof, which lets in a ton of light, and the cabin feels bright and spacious. And when we talk about the rear seats, again, these are great. Thanks to the dedicated EV platform, there's plenty of legroom and enough space for adults to stay comfortable on longer trips. Rear passengers also get their own climate-controlled USB-C charging ports and storage throughout the cabin. Now looking at the trunk, the cargo area is big enough for luggage, camera equipment, groceries, golf clubs, or just about anything that most families would throw at it. The power liftgate opens wide, the loading floor is low, and the rear seats fold when you need additional space. I also like the fact that you can open the trunk by pressing the logo or just kicking your foot under the car. Now, one thing that's missing and kind of strange is a front trunk. Considering the LYRIQ was designed from the ground up as an electric vehicle, I would have loved to see Cadillac take advantage of that extra space. It's not something you think about every day, but once you've used the frunk on other EVs, it's hard not to miss having that extra storage. All right, now let's talk about driving, because the biggest surprise about the LYRIQ isn't how fast it is, it's how calm it feels. The LYRIQ isn't trying to be a sports SUV that happens to be electric. Cadillac clearly prioritized comfort over everything else, and for most luxury buyers, I think that was the right decision. Acceleration is smooth and effortless. I have the dual motor all-wheel drive version, which delivers much quicker acceleration if that's something that's important to you. And I would say that the LYRIQ is fast, but not quick. Where the LYRIQ really shines is ride quality. If you've been to Cleveland, you know our roads suck. The suspension on the LYRIQ did an excellent job soaking up all those potholes without feeling overly soft. And when you pair that with the quiet interior, it creates one of the most relaxing driving experiences in this category. Steering is light and predictable rather than sporty, so if your idea of fun is carving up mountain roads or whipping around corners, there are sharper SUVs available. But if your daily commute includes traffic, highway, and city streets, the LYRIQ is a fantastic ride. Cadillac also did an excellent job tuning the one-pedal driving. Some EVs make region braking abrupt or difficult to modulate, but here it feels smooth and natural, so after a few minutes behind the wheel, you barely need to touch the brake pedal. Our range continues to be one of the LYRIQ's biggest strengths. Depending on the trim, you're looking at up to around 326 miles, which is plenty for daily commuting and long weekend road trips. When it's time to recharge, DC fast charging allows you to recover a substantial amount of range in around a half an hour under the right conditions, and level 2 charging at home easily tops the battery off overnight. Now, the built-in navigation also takes your battery level into account, so when it's planning long trips, it's actually finding charging spots along the way. And that's one of those quality of life features that makes owning an EV so much easier. Now, if you ask me what my favorite feature of the LYRIQ is, that's easy. Super Cruise. I've driven a bunch of different driver assistance systems over the years, and this is one of my favorites. On compatible highways, it can steer, accelerate, brake, it can even make automatic lane changes, all while monitoring your attention to make sure that you're still engaged. It's important to remember that this isn't self-driving. You still need to pay attention and be ready to take over at any time. But for long highway drives, it's crazy nice. I took it on 2 separate 45-minute highway drives, and I didn't touch the steering wheel once until it was time to get off the highway. So going back to my car, I'm definitely gonna miss this feature. And one thing that was really surprising is that the LYRIQ actually didn't do the best job at lane centering or lane maintenance on regular roads. It will help at times, but it wasn't as consistent as other cars that I've tried. And I said it was surprising because Super Cruise is way more capable than what I've had on other cars, so I assumed some portion of that same technology could be used for excellent lane maintenance or centering, but I'm also not an engineer, so what do I know? So overall, there are plenty of things that Cadillac got right with the LYRIQ. The interior feels expensive without trying too hard. Ride quality is among one of the best in this class. The cabin is very quiet. The technology is easy to use. The AKG sound system is excellent. And Super Cruise continues to set the standard for hands-free highway driving. You can see the Cadillac didn't just try to build its own version of a Tesla. Instead, it focused on what Cadillac has traditionally done well, creating a comfortable, quiet, luxury vehicle and then adapting that philosophy for the electric era. Of course, no vehicle is perfect. I'd still like to see a front trunk added to a future update, maybe a manual button for the glove compartments and to lock the doors from the outside, and then improved lane assistance on regular roads. So after driving the LYRIQ for over a week, I think this is the best compliment that I can give it. It feels like a luxury SUV that happens to be electric, rather than an electric SUV that's trying to convince you that it's luxurious. I hope that makes sense. If you're shopping for a premium electric SUV, I would not overlook the LYRIQ. Just go give it a test drive. Let me know what you think. For me, it's one of the most complete luxury SUV EVs that you can buy at this price point, and I think that it deserves more attention than it gets. You know what I always say? Buy it nice or buy it twice. Good luck and see you soon.